quite frankly, if you don't care for your mental health, if you don't care for your emotional well-being, if you don't care for sustaining what you actually value versus what society tells you to value, then this ain't the channel for you though. I'll tell you that now. This is not a channel. Hi guys. Hi. I just wanted to have a quick conversation. Well, it's not a conversation because I'm the only one here. Oh, it's chilly, it's cold. Your joy doesn't last and happiness isn't fun. Capitalism is fraud, okay? If you really deep it, capitalism is fraud. Okay, you're not getting what you think you're getting. Whatever you are getting is not sustainable, okay? If you're someone who's more about the aesthetics of life as opposed to how life feels for you, like how your quality of life feels for you, there's no better time than right now to reassess those things, kind of reflect on what your values are and how you can sustain and nurture those values. You could be someone who travels a lot, right? And be so humble in how you express yourself, how you dress, how you come off to people, be well-meaning. And obviously, you know, it's not like you're I'm not saying that you can be, I'm not saying it's ideal to be someone who is hell-bent on being liked, like a people pleaser. That's not what I'm saying. However, you carry yourself well and you value yourself. It's all well and great to invest in yourself, right? You can play to your strengths and still nurture both your strengths and your weaknesses, with the intention of making the most out of all the things that you intrinsically possess internally, the things that no one can copy and paste. Do you understand? Nurturing your strengths and weaknesses is the perfect way to do that, not just playing to your strengths, because honestly that's well and great, but this is real life. And I feel like if anything, we need more real life on the internet. Maybe not too much life, because sometimes you give people an inch, they take a mile, you know. And there are people who subconsciously choose to stay stagnant or fixed in one aspect of life just because they like how it looks and how they feel temporarily, because it's not sustainable. Your feelings change, do you understand? They're not necessarily reliable, so you can have to go off what you actually want and what you desire for yourself, like what you see, like looking beyond your nose, creating your version of art, creating your life. That process can't be copied and pasted. Everybody's life looks different. Making a brand out of proving that you can maintain a soft life / fast life is not sustainable, and I don't think it's even good for I don't think it's good for anyone, honestly. But each to his own. You can't really tell people what to do. They will either take the advice that you give or they'll leave it. Fast life, slow life, neither is right or wrong. It's just relative to what the individual desires, right? I've seen what being over materialistic has done. I don't need to tell you this, but I see it hasn't really added an essential intrinsic value. If anything, it's made people more shallow, and it's misled them in terms of what they're actually aiming for. Like I said though, neither is right or wrong, but balance should definitely be prescribed for one's own sanity and self-respect. Your motives are deeper than that of being shallow. I'm not saying don't dress well. I'm not saying don't feel your best. Do you really want what you're purchasing? Do you really want what you're voting for with your money? Or is it just for the moment? Is it just a trend? Is it like something that supports your spirit? Do you understand? As opposed to, because being creative full stop will always support your spirit. I don't care what anyone says. I'm just that person. I really do believe that. However, I do feel like you take away the creativity. For example, someone sells you a complete look, and you as the consumer, you buy the complete look and you wear it exactly the same every single time, and then you get mad or irritated at yourself, or just annoyed or distressed when you open your closet and you're like, oh, I've got nothing to wear. Get creative. Okay? Yeah, it really gets like that. It's like, oh, but I wore that last week, so you also wore those drawers last week. But is it because no one can see it that you're talking like that? Is it because no one can see your drawers? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. All right. Yeah, I promise I have the best intentions. I'm not perfect myself by any means. Still growing, still learning. My desire is of a deeper life, depth life, growth life, evolutionary life. Do you get it? I like seeing the transformation of people. I like seeing, like, you know, when people just do well for themselves, but at the same time they don't ignore the shitty parts of life. For me personally, I aim to find my middle ground, or just be in or on my middle ground, and not be on either side of the extremes of consumerism, where too much is too much. And when I say too much is too much, I mean minimalism, the extreme side of minimalism. Because at the end of the day, I still want to experience life, and I still love art. I still love being creative, you know. I like to experience things of all kinds, and there's things I'm going to keep doing, quite frankly, for my own well-being. And then the extreme side of that, the other extreme side of that, where enough is never enough. Do you understand? But people who have to have everything. People who have to have everything and hoard it as well. Neither is for me. Those extreme ends aren't for me. However, I do appreciate less, like having a little less. I can't lie, I won't lie, because I feel less heavy. I feel less weighed down. There's less responsibility. Maybe it's not that I'm shying away from responsibility, but I'm shying away of the weight of material things, because if you want all those things, you need to have all that space, and if you want all that space, do you know what I mean? I mean, it's not like it's hard to have either of these things. It's not that it's hard, but in terms of living a more sustainable life and kind of growing within myself and not worrying about keeping up with the times, just staying true to what I personally like and value, as opposed to being influenced by every influencer. Even now, to this point, I found myself unfollowing people that I just don't, there's no actual value there. It is important that I'm aware of what I'm consuming and the content that I'm being fed, you know, even if I am choosing. Bougie basic still works, and if you want to argue with anybody, argue with Kanye, okay? To drive it home anyway, my point is, material things don't make your joy sustainable. Money comes, money goes. You vote with your money, your time, your consistency and attention. And that's not something you can give to everybody, and the brands know that, hence why marketing and ads are there, babe, okay? And I do love a skip button. Now more than ever, it's probably a good idea to question what slow life means to you, what growth life means to you, what a depth life means for you. If you don't identify these things, there'll be some brands, some influencer, somebody to sell you what that looks like, what that feels like. Most likely it will come with a product, so it's better to identify what these things are for yourself. No matter how simple your life may look, no matter where you are on the spectrum of capitalism, your life is never going to be simple, never going to be straightforward, okay? But you can do your best to make it feel less stressful, less demanding, less draining. Therefore, a strategy is beneficial. Life is unpredictable, but also predictable if you pay attention to your patterns, to the patterns, but to your personal patterns, so you can figure out what is going to work for you in terms of sustaining a depth life, you know. It just seems like it makes sense to me, you know. It just makes sense to me. But yeah, why make life harder, you know? Simplify your life so you can cash out on a better quality of life. This is your time to take the pressures of society off your shoulders and find out who you are without all the excess. You've been given your mission, I've been given mine. Let's go.